trouble. When you confront or scold them, they choose to avoid the situation, just like how they would pretend to be dead when facing a predator in the wild. Sables are like a mix between cats and dogs in terms of personality. They have a cat's alertness and a dog's liveliness. But unlike dogs, they don't need to go for walks, because they're like acrobats. With incredible jumping ability, they can climb and leap around the house.
Did you know the seal has fingernails? Oh, wait, shit. Did you know that seals have fingernails? Because I didn't, and now I do, and my life is worse for it. I just thought of seals as just these cute little things look like that. But now, turns out they're packing whatever that bullshit is. I guess this kind of makes sense, unfortunately, because the structure of a seal's flipper.
大家都有听过他的简要。今天我们来看看他是怎么通过不懈努力给自己抢进去的。
あいうえおかきくけこ。あいうえおかきくけこ。歩道でアイスクリーム食ってるのは普通ですか普通じゃないですか。
Oh, there's my house. I want to try to beat this game. I have nothing. Let's play. What the hell? Why isn't that showing me? Oh, that's good. Oh, let's come back. Let me go eat something. nice bubble there. It's got. Maybe next we'll go get next.
Connected.
It's gonna be so hard to find.
Ready to pair. Connected.
I forgot to switch my thing.
Of course, but it's, you're not oversaturated.
Oversaturated.
The back-to-school savings are adding up with super value. Scan your real rewards card or app and make like your each fresh Irish steak, pork, or turkey mince pack. Euro on surf, comfort, and dairy ranges.
A so-called artist almost $2,000 AI art, leaving the other contenders who were all hard-working artists who invested their hard-earned sweat, tears, and blood, spending hours on end making actual art for the art competition, with nothing but their crinkly drawing tablets in their hands, clutching their chewed-on tablet pens as a metaphorical consolation prize. Another sad day for artists. Clip Studio Paint, one of the biggest and popular for all the right reasons drawing programs among artists alike, announced their 44th International Art Contest with the theme being flowers and plants, and a juicy prize pot of 2,000 Uncle Sam dollars and a 3-year Clip Studio Paint activation code for the artist that comes
How come my
in first
graphics
place. They also get their art featured all
my
across
computer can
Clip
handle it?
Studio's social media platforms and also used as the profile picture of all Clip Studio accounts. The runner-up coming in second place gets $500 US and $200 for the artists who come in third, fourth, and fifth.
6th place to 10th each receive a whopping $100 each. And Clip Studio also had awards for honorable mentions and a few other categories. Not that crazy of a prize pool, but at least it's something for all the artists who shared their art in the competition. There was so much good art submitted under the CSP contest hashtag, and it was just so awesome seeing all these amazing artists putting their time into creating something they really enjoyed and will be proud of, even though, well, there was a cool soothing cash prize attached to the competition. Now fast forward a couple of weeks, Clip Studio Paint finally announced the winners of the art contest, and while all three of the artists all looked to have made very impressive art, one of these quote-unquote drawings looked rather suspicious. Now, according to the official rules of the competition,
send my
entries
CV.
that have fan art depicting real people or existing characters, products, or brands will not be accepted. So basically, everything you drew had to be off the dome or an original character of your own choosing. Entries that were traced or copied from illustrations, photos, videos, etc., and were not created by the contestant will not be accepted. So basically, no cheating or stealing. Entries that were mainly created through the use of AI, artificial intelligence, will not be accepted. Do I even need to say anything? Well, apparently, after going through the vigorous process of painstakingly going through all the artwork that was submitted to the competition and choosing their winners, it will seem the judges or whoever picked the drawings did a great job in selecting the winners, but somehow one fake artist slipped through the cracks and miraculously came in right up in second place, beating a host of other amazing artists who had more or less spent time making their drawings themselves and almost taking the crown and winning the entire competition themselves. Second place is absolutely AI generated. Really disappointing to see a supposedly reputable art contest being that easily duped. Second place is 1,000,000% AI. $500 for an AI generated image. Wow. AI was clearly used at least to some degree to create the second piece. Not sure what kind of people judge and prove these contests, since you can see in the comments that people who make art can tell something is off at first glance, and then of course examine the details to be sure. Please do better. Maybe hire some artists. You're an art company, for fuck's sake. This image, which was submitted by a now private and or deleted account on Instagram, is what was stirring up the pot and causing a ruckus under Clip Studio Paint's post. Taking a look at the image at first glance, you can immediately feel something is off. You can't immediately start spotting all the traits until you begin to look closely, but you can just feel something isn't right. To the normal eye, it looks like a decent painting. The angle and composition is good, the lighting is decent, and the colors and entire mood of the painting are reminiscent of paintings from artists like Arte Guyland, Jamila Koff, and other artists who make art similar to that of the Studio Ghibli art style. And while all these artists are incredibly good and make every single drawing all by themselves, the quote-unquote artist who made this image certainly isn't one of them. The first sign that tells me this image is AI is the girl in the water. She doesn't look like she is underwater at all, and it immediately looks off and breaks the image apart, in my opinion. For an artist that supposedly knows how to paint and understands light and color judging from just the other parts of the image, you should automatically understand that the girl will also be hit by the light source and ambient light, which is supposedly hitting the water, so her skin underwater shouldn't be the same exact color as the boy's skin, who is clearly above the water. Her hands also look a little bit like AI, but it's not as bad as how AI was known to draw hands back in the days. Apparently, AI has improved in that aspect, but the part of the image that stands out the most after closely looking at it and screams AI is the hands of the boy and how it seems to be connecting and leading into his right leg instead of in between like the other hand, which will just make the pose feel normal just thinking about it, because I don't see myself bringing one hand all the way over the other leg when I'm trying to give someone that's in front of me a little flower. The pose just doesn't make any sense. The trees, foliage, and leaves mostly look believable, since it's easy for AI to replicate that, because those parts of the painting don't really require that much detail and could easily be passed off by using broad, simple strokes just to imply detail. One thing I will notice how this part of the reflections from the flowers looks a little too mushy and resembles typical AI slop. compared to other reflections all in relatively close parts of the painting. Typically you'll expect this amount of ripples and loss of details from parts of the water where there's movement. In this part of the painting, that will be where the girl's hand is coming out of the water, but I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking about it a little too hard for absolutely no reason at all. Any more thinking and I might end up being the modern day Isaac Newton for AI art apologists. The so-called drawing ended up getting more scrutiny than Pedro Pascal's sexuality, and people in the comments were calling out the quote-unquote artist, telling them to post a time-lapse of them making the drawing, or at least the step-by-step process of their drawing, so all the people accusing them of using AI could be put to shame, and they could also pry the $500 from the cold hands of Clip Studio Paint's officials. But apparently the artist, in air quotes, posted their drawing process, and the people who saw it said it still didn't look convincing enough because some parts just looked traced and sloppy to have been drawn by the same artist that posted the final image everyone was raving about. The second artist has never drawn in that style ever. In their process video, it was only blocking, never rendering the piece. They clearly used AI to render it. The artist can clearly draw from their other work, but they did not fully draw this piece. I went on the page to give it the benefit of doubt, but even I can say it's highly suspicious that their speed paint time-lapse just ends as they get to the subject. The subject speed paint is just clicking layers that are already completed, such as the flower. The second one looks like traced AI. If you see the speed paint on the artist's profile, it already starts with a sketch, not to mention they use Procreate at the beginning, and it's easy to fake a speed paint in Procreate. Almost every single person in the comments was definitely certain the person who shared this image had used AI to manipulate the image in one way or the other. And while some people were defending them, saying they were actual artists and knew how to draw, and indirectly saying this was just a mild misunderstanding, all the evidence was leading up to only one conclusion. Our friend here had used AI and has been using AI for probably the longest time ever to make all their quote-unquote drawings.
So, you're an AI artist.
Well, actually, I just prefer artists. So basically, I go onto one of these AI art generators, right? I try and think of a really good idea. Dog playing basketball. Now I'm creating it.
But you're not making it.
Well, I'm doing it, yeah. I told it what to make, you know?
Who are some of your inspirations?
I really like Francesco del Giocondo. He did the Mona Lisa.
That was Da Vinci.
Well, he commissioned it. He's technically the artist that made that. Oh, my art stuff. Look at this. Yeah, isn't this beautiful? I really love how I got the shading done on this. I've really outdone myself this time.
Walk until there's only one of you left. Warning. Warning. There's one winner. Warning. 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 And no finish line.
Chuna bheith go maith le harragus, tastaíonn cothraíocht. Agus uaireanta, téime do mú. Ach le muicí ní taisce agus gnéithe sábháilteachta, cabhraíonn chuntas ratha an-post money that beag sa bhaint amach. Oscail do chuntas ratha aniu, an-post money ag buint beag amach.
After this whole drama ensued, they immediately went private or deleted their account because I tried searching for them to see the rest of their drawings for myself, but I couldn't find the account on Instagram. Fellow internet yapping colleague Viora had the delusional idea to make a video of some of their art just before the page disappeared, and she shared it in her video.
Again, because their entire page is now deleted, I am showing work from their website. This was linked in their Instagram before they went private, and I looked at it prior, so it's just in my history. And what you're seeing on screen is kind of what they had on their Instagram page, just a lot of concept art, some scenery. So I definitely understand why a lot of people did not think they used AI, because they were very professional and they called themselves a concept artist and map painter. On their page, you can also see that they worked with a lot of high-end clients like Riot Games, Microsoft, Sony. But one thing that stood out was NVIDIA. I don't have screenshots of this, so you're just gonna have to believe me, but before they had NVIDIA concept designer in their bio. And this comment over here can hopefully vouch for me. And if you don't know, NVIDIA is a very, very pro-AI company. And I should mention, just because they worked for a very pro-AI company, it does not necessarily mean or sound evidence that they used AI on this specific image. But it was something to consider.
Viora also made a piece for the competition, so if you want to see how she ended up and what her drawing looks like, you should definitely go check out her video after watching this one. After all the complaints that ensued, the judges from Clip had to take down the image from all their social media accounts and made an update to all their announcement posts with an official statement to clear the air. One of the winning pieces in the contest was found to be created partially with generative AI as confirmed by the creator. This entry has been withdrawn. Our judging process includes several stages of checks with tools as well as visual review by multiple team members to assess for generative AI use. We apologize that this system was not sufficient in this case. I mean, I'm glad the person just admitted to them using AI in the first place instead of having to just lie about it, I guess. We hope for this contest to be a fun and fair experience for all creators who join. For future iterations, we will clarify the rules on generative AI use and re-examine our review system. People were still frowning and pointing fingers at Clip Studio for not properly scrutinizing every individual artwork that was submitted into the competition and for almost allowing someone using fake art just win the entire competition. They called Clip Studio out in lengthy posts and shared their frustration about the situation. At this point, Clip Studio Paint, the literal software and the one who held the event in the first place, should have known better on how artists stand in the AI usage. The artist shouldn't even be qualified as an entry. Not only did this artist enter the competition with AI artwork, they even got second place. I think the artist probably thought no one will suspect a thing and didn't expect to be picked as a winner. Thank goodness they admitted their wrongdoings. But again, CSP is in a larger fault here. Couldn't you at least hire a real person to review the selected winning entries before posting them? This is truly outrageous and a disgraceful mess coming from such a large company. The second entry is clearly made with AI. I can't believe there isn't even a single person in the company who can tell which entries are clearly fake. This one was easy. Artists will lose all motivation to participate in Clip Studio contests, and I wouldn't be surprised by the decline the platform will experience in the coming months. Congratulations, you were completely fooled by an intelligence that goes beyond the human eye, and the worst part is you are artists. I think at this point we shouldn't be pointing fingers at each other saying, oh, it's your fault, oh, it's yours, but we can't shift all the blame from Clip Studio Paint. Knowing the state of art and how rampant the use of AI-generated art is within the art community and the rest of the internet, the judges of the competition should have paid closer attention to each applicant's drawing and even extra attention when choosing the final winners, just to avoid situations like this happening and demoralizing all the other artists who participated knowing fully well they probably wouldn't even win and were just trying to gain some experience or just drawing for fun. This also isn't the first time AI art has been used in art competitions and ended up being picked as a winner. A similar situation happened some years back where an AI artist entered an art competition and ended up winning the entire thing using AI art.
AI just won an art competition and artists are pissed. This is the image they won. It's called Theatre d'Opera Spatial. I guess that's how you pronounce it. It won Colorado's State Fair Fine Art Competition in the digital art category, but this is the problem. The artist behind it, Jason Allen, did not say that it was generated by AI until later, and it created a mess. Artists are pissed because the piece of art was created by an algorithm, not by a human being. Someone even said we're witnessing the death of artistry unfold.
Get your limited edition display before it's gone forever. Discover unique designs handcrafted with special printing techniques. Hunt for new, limited posters every week. Only at display.com.
I have no food.
But Allen says that his input was instrumental. He tested hundreds of prompts and spent weeks fine-tuning them to get what he actually really liked. And so he's pissed at artists because he says that they are not valuing his human input. I think we are confusing art with craftsmanship. Art is art because it gives you emotion, not because somebody used a brush.
Now I know software companies that make digital art programs and devices are well aware how harmful AI art is to the same artists that are using the devices and programs they're developing. And while some of them have made clear that they will not be partnering with any use of AI in their programs and including it in any updates, some others are promoting the use of AI art to artists, saying it's the next level of human creativity and will aid artists in making better pictures. One of our most popular drawing device manufacturers even went ahead to sponsor an art contest which was promoting the use of AI art in the competition instead of encouraging artists to use their own creativity to make their drawings.
Wacom, a Japanese company that manufactures drawing tablets for artists, is under fire online for being the sponsor of a high school AI art contest. The AI art contest is hosted by Seifu University, an IT college in Osaka, Japan. It's open to all high school students in Japan, and according to the contest website, the goal is to, quote, spread knowledge and interest in generative AI among high school students, and, quote, foster creativity through art production using generative AI. This is the promo poster for the contest, and at the bottom here, you can see that Wacom is listed as one of the sponsors. This upset a lot of artists because Wacom's entire business is selling drawing tablets to artists, designers, and photographers so that they're able to unleash their creativity. These pages are taken from Wacom's official website and markets products, including its stylus pens, as powerful companions to artists. So Wacom sponsoring an AI art contest seems to go against the company's entire philosophy of supporting artists. This is not the first time that Wacom has been caught up in controversy about AI art. So in January, the company caught backlash from the artistic community after using AI-generated art in a New Year campaign. In a statement, Wacom apologized, explaining that it had purchased the images from a third-party vendor. Back to the AI art contest. So on the contest official website, it states that entrants must use AI art generators DALL-E 3, Stable Diffusion, or Niji Journey to produce their art. The winner will take home 30,000 yen, or around 289 Australian dollars in prize money.
This whole situation is just bad, and I feel this rampant use and promotion of AI art by the same companies that pioneered digital art is going to cause quite the stir in the younger generation of artists just starting out, making them consider just using AI instead of actually learning how to draw. And while people are starting to see just how disruptive AI is to actual artists, I hope younger artists will be able to understand and overcome the pressure of seeking faster shortcuts or validation and instead persevere through making actual good art and spending the time it takes to get better. Well, it looks like you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, share the video with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. With all that being said, I'll see all you pretty penguins in the next video. Bye!
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere.
This is the fucking jungle. So this is jungle.
You see, eToro really is everywhere.
Join more than 40 million people worldwide. Invest anytime, anywhere, and earn up to 4.3% anchored interest on your uninvested balance. eToro. Join now.
Why do so many people trust iHerb for their health and wellness products? Simple. We guarantee freshness. Buy direct from manufacturers and ship fast to your doorstep.
I can get watermelons in the jungle.
Stretchaholics, immunity boosters, weight shedders, light sleepers, dog mommies, mommy mommies, even the good doctor here. They all trust iHerb to deliver the freshest, high-quality health and wellness products on earth. iHerb's curated selection of products are quality tested, stored in climate-controlled facilities, and shipped fresh. Seems pretty obvious, but it's just one of the many ways we make wellness better. iHerb.
What you're talking about right now is a biological computer. Basically. Yeah. You're freaking me out, man.
You're free.
Cyberpunk. I'll warn you in advance that landscapes and colors are absolutely not my forte, alright? So tell me about this drawing and tell me what specific things you would like critiqued. Overall composition and drawing. Alright, to begin with, I think this looks very, very pretty. The sky is really nice. What you can do to improve upon this is to arrange the elements to bring the focal point a little bit more into play. As it is right now, it's a little hard for me to see the two characters on the bottom, so I think I'd like to increase the size of that. Especially if you just glance at this, it's kind of hard to see. So I think what I might do is just increase their size. Quite a bit, actually, and use the other background elements to frame them a little bit. So let's try this. Okay, so you can see that already, if just by increasing the size of the elements, I think it's a lot clearer what's going on in this image. So for these guys, I would like to kind of clarify their silhouettes just a little bit more. I do like the subtlety, but just a little bit of rim light here. Okay, let's see what we can do with the background now. Oh, there is a lovely, is it a sunrise or a sunset? But I would love a little bit more vibrancy down the bottom here, so let me try that. I will increase the saturation. Let's bring a little bit of saturation in here. I think that would be fun. Not exactly default brush, but instead of using a circle, I like using a triangle because it lets me have fun shapes like this by default without worrying too much about it. It's probably a little bit too saturated, but it's okay. We'll deal with this in a second. I mean, like, it's a pretty cloud formation, but you can't help but look at it, and it takes too much attention from the rest of the composition because it looks so detailed. So I think if we simplify your clouds and kind of arrange your clouds in a more aesthetic formation, it will help the overall comp. So let me give that a shot. I'm just working off general design principles right now. I actually have little to no experience whatsoever doing backgrounds, so I'm gonna have some references. Clouds at dusk. Let's come here and look for some inspirations. Something pretty, because I want to capture that same cloud shape. Let's see. Clouds at night? Alright, maybe this is a little better. Which cloud looks pretty to me? This cloud looks okay, maybe. I'm gonna start with some kind of softer clouds in the background and a stronger one in the foreground. So let's find a brighter cloud, something like this. It's all about the brush. You think so? I'm gonna do it with my regular brush, alright? So I'm gonna start by softening these out a little bit, okay? So we can work in a general value structure that I'm happy with. I'll paint the stars back in a second, but for now, just make the cloud a little bit smaller. Can I say some wise words while painting this? If you make a happy little mistake, you may as well just give up. Art is too hard. If you're not prepared to make mistake after mistake after mistake, maybe you're just not cut out for art. Maybe you should do something else. Have you considered crochet? I think if there were a cloud here, the bottom of the cloud would likely be lit by the remnants of the light from down there, so I'm going to add that in. So from your cloud right here, remember that clouds are also 3D objects? So you got to think about the lighting in the cloud as well. Like maybe there's some, it's lit up by the moon up here, but I don't see the moon. Okay, what do clouds look like on a moonless night? Not sure. I'm going to try to pay attention to that. And yes, this is my very first cloud. But I'm going to treat clouds the same way I treat everything else. In the end, everything's just shape design after all, right? I don't have to stress out too much about it. So as long as I have good shapes, I should be able to paint these clouds okay, yeah? That's what I'm hoping, anyway. You love clouds? I know, I can tell you like clouds. I don't. So the clouds are typically lighter than the sky. So what if I increase the luminosity of this? Just a little bit. Maybe that makes a good sense. What I'm dealing is with like, okay, but where is the moon? Is there a moon? Maybe it's off screen, alright? Maybe it's off screen. And paint a few more clouds over here. And then I really want to make the shooting star stand out a bit, right? Because I think the issue with the original image, there's so much going on that it's hard to tell where you should focus the eye. So I'm just rearranging the elements so we can see those things more clearly right now. Looks like it's about to be sun. Oh, maybe it's dawn, not dusk. Yeah, maybe actually. True. I want to light this from below just because that's the sun's coming up from there, right? So I want to give this cloud that kind of vibrance. So yeah, if this is sunrise, then actually the moon might not be visible. full, so I'll actually darken the top.
Oh my god, the game's
clouds,
lagging on me.
them, and it might look more like sunrise then. I kind of smudged out the clouds, but I don't think we need the clouds to be too refined. Like I said, we don't want to run too much detail in the stuff that's not important. And right now, I want to make the clouds less important and the shooting star more important, basically. One thing I do know, and this applies to any kind of illustration, is that you don't have to make every single thing detailed. It's good enough most of the time to just suggest or imply that things are there, and that will, and then like just having a few tiny parts here that are detailed will carry the impression the rest of the way. I'm spending a little bit more time on these specific highlights because that's how I want to describe the form of the cloud. The other don't care as much. Just like that. Let's paint a little cloud over here as well. Super detailed pieces look nice sometimes, true, but then if you have super detailed pieces, you have to be careful that it doesn't end up looking a little like kitschy, right? Because if everything is detailed all at once, you have to use other things at your disposal to correctly direct the eye across your illustration, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Paint a bit of light in. We can see how we're doing so far. So a little bit of detail in here. So this section over here, the problem is that I feel like your stars are the same brightness as the shooting star, and I really want to draw attention to the shooting star. So what I'm going to do is make all the stars a little bit less visible, but keep the shooting star the same brightness. What does the shooting star actually look like? Like this? Is that what it actually looks like? Wow, they were really bright, actually. But yeah, take a look at this and see how bright it is compared to the environment. So I'm going to do something similar, okay? So first we'll start by adding back some of the stars. So to add stars, I'm pretty sure I have a brush on CSP that can do sparkle, soft, sparkle, wee, glitter circle cross. That's very shoujo. Dappled lights, that's weird. Okay, this might work. Let's reduce the brush density even more. The particle density, increase the particle size a little bit. That should do. I want to reduce the density even more though. Droplet maybe? Oh, droplet's better. We'll do droplet. It's a little bit more natural. But now I'm going to take it and make sure it isn't too bright, and soften just to make sure it isn't overwhelming, and kind of make sure they aren't super bright, because the star of the show is going to be the shooting star. And now finally we can draw in the shooting star, so let's do that. Okay, let's get something really bright now. I'm going to do it a couple of times until I have a line I'm happy with. There, I'm pretty happy with this. Add a little glow to it if we want. There you go, glowing a little bit. And finally, I think for the last touch, I'm going to put a glow dodge layer on top of everything. We can bring a little bit of attention to the parts where we want with the airbrush. So just a little bit here, a little bit on. I actually want to move this, so maybe here. There we go. We'll do a few clouds here and there, but mostly down here.
I'm gonna plant some penicillin in one of their backpacks. Wait, how you know what you use to get rid of it though?